So yesterday I dyed my hair with the intention of lightening it a little bit, and it came out blonde for the first time in my life. I have blonde hair, and this is a huge change for me. And at the beginning, I looked at it in the mirror and I was like, ah! And then I was like, I don't know. That's a huge change. I don't look like I've always looked. Things are different. And I've decided to keep it different for a while and see how I feel about it. This really, really relates into my sugar-free journey. And I have coined a new term, which you're going to hear a lot now in my weekly message. So, which is called sugar-free recovery, because basically what we're doing is recovering from the addiction to sugar and ultra-processed foods. And the change that happens, and many times people are afraid to change, especially when it comes to food, because food is not just what we eat, right? A lot of times it has a lot of significance, like how do I feel and how does food make me feel? And if I change that a lot, what's going to happen in my life? And this fear of big changes is a very natural thing, but it's a big problem when it stops us from moving in a direction that we want to move in. And this definitely builds into this change that I've done in the color of my hair, because it's like, okay, now what do? I've taken all these like photo ops with my hair dark and now it's light, and what are people going to say, and how am I going to feel about it, and how do I feel when I look in the mirror, and all these things that come up. And a lot of times when I speak to people who are thinking about, going off sugar and really changing the way that they eat, the way that they, when you recover from sugar and ultra processed food addiction, it's not just a matter of what I don't eat. It's really, in order to have sustained recovery, it has to be a real change. And people understand that. And that's why they're afraid to do it, because they understand that it's really changing something significant in their life, not just what they're eating for a month or 3 months or something like that, but the way I eat, the way that we eat has to change. The way that we think about food has to change. The way that we feel about food has to change. And the way food makes us feel has to change. And we do that by changing the way we eat. So it's like this real circle that comes around, and it can be scary. The change can be scary. But here's the thing. If we want things to be different, then they're going to change. And sometimes they change in a way that we're not exactly sure, right? Or sometimes they change differently than what we expected. And we know that when we change something, it may not come out exactly as we thought it would. Because if we knew that it would come out exactly the way we think it would, we would do the change with no problem. We wouldn't be afraid. But sometimes unexpected things happen. And that's okay. We can go with that change. I mean, I say this, what do you have to lose? What do I have to lose? What's going to happen if I decide that I don't like it, or I don't know, whatever it is? I decide it doesn't serve me to have blonde hair. I've never been blonde before. I don't know if I can live with this, right? And if I can't live with it, so I'll go back to being brown, whatever it was. I mean, especially when it comes to addictive eating, if we make that comparison, right? You can always go back to eating in an unhealthy and harmful way. Of course, you don't want to do that, right? You want things to change. The people who come to me, for sure. So I say, if you want to change, you got to do things differently. And you got to take that chance. And you know what? Sometimes it does come out differently than what you thought. But sometimes that different is even better than you thought it would be. Or maybe it's different, but it's still good. I'm actually kind of starting to think that I like this, and I may keep it. I don't know, but I'm certainly going to give it a try. And this is my message to anybody who is thinking about really going off sugar, making a really significant change, doing that process, and is afraid of the change, or feels like maybe it's not the right time, and maybe it's never going to be the right time. The change is always going to be scary. You have to move through that fear and go to the other side. And you know what? Maybe sometimes unexpected things will happen. And maybe even sometimes it's going to be difficult or uncomfortable. But I ask people who call me, if they're calling me, right, to ask about sugar-free recovery, about going sugar-free, then obviously there's discomfort right now in their lives, right? And they want things to be better. So, yes, change is scary because sometimes things happen that are unexpected. But it's very, very important if you really want a significant change in your life, in the way you eat and in your relationship with food, then taking that chance is a necessary step. But here's what I can tell you from my experience and the experience of the hundreds of people that have come through my program, and for 25 years of experience of helping people recover from sugar and food addiction, is that usually the changes are much, much better than what you expected. So this is my motivation and message to you from Zippi, the new blonde Zippi, and have a wonderful evening. And of course, if you're wondering about the GPS program, my program, and how to get to sugar-free recovery, then please reach out. There's a link here where you can contact me, and we can talk about how my program can help you. Have a wonderful day, a great evening, a fantastic week, and I will see you next week on Zippi's weekly message. I do not know what color my hair will be then. Bye-bye.